I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Mike Desrosiers. Mike is a general partner in 12 multifamily properties with over 1,000 units and $70 million in assets under management. Properties located in Texas, Las Vegas, Kansas City, and California. First of all, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to dive in here. So why don't you start with just, kind of telling us your background, how you got started in real estate, and then we'll dig into some of how you got to where you're at.
Absolutely. I live in the Northern California. I've lived here kind of all of my life, San Francisco Bay Area. I've been in multiple businesses all through my life, kind of actually more in the marketing and advertising business, which I've been into recently, not recently, the last 30 years really, but it's interesting, and I tell the story all the time, right? It's not necessarily the business that I've been involved with that has done well for me, but the real estate that I bought on the way up, right? And it goes back to a story with I started as kind of a young entrepreneur, and and 19 years old or so, and starting my own first business. And it was in the food industry, right? And I ended up renting out this mini storage as a kind of an office / to hold these freezers that could hold, frozen foods and stuff. And I remember signing my first lease in my first office, and this guy that was, older guy at the time, and he owned this mini storage unit, and he just, obviously wanted to tell me his words of wisdom. And he told me the story that ended up really kind of being a lot of my story, which is that he was an electrician for 30 years. He said, I was an electrician. I had this electrician business for 30 years, worked it every single day, went to work and, ran my business as I should. But at the end of the day, I closed the business down and just let it go. But the real estate that I bought all on the way up from the profits from that electrician business has made me worth millions. And it was just an interesting story that stuck with me. And, I can say the same story today, right? I've been in multiple businesses, but I've been in the marketing and promotions business for many years, and it's done well. It's given me vacations and, homes and, different things. But really the real estate that I bought along the way with that money, the profits from that, is what's has given me the wealth, that I have today, and certainly got me involved in real estate. And I've been, I've always had apartments or mostly single family rentals most all my life. I got involved in the multifamily really just a few years ago, and kind of turned on a light on how to scale up, right? Just to a point where I never really even thought was possible. And we do them through syndications where we bring in investors, and investors, put their money in and are able to share in the profits, and they're able to buy into these apartment buildings that really they would never be able to get into on their own. And, 100 units or 200 unit, type apartment complexes. And we run them as a team. So we have a very experienced team on board that runs the property and kind of handles all the different aspects of it, including very experienced property management companies. And that makes it, really makes it fun to operate. And it's a great opportunity for the investors to be part of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that stuck out to me from your story there is you said at 19, you started a business in the mini storage.
I did. It was a frozen food business. And my office was in the mini storage. Because I couldn't afford really an office, and I needed freezers and, kind of warehouse space. So I just ended up renting out a mini storage and ran it out of there.
So
I mean, that's a young age to be, sort of starting businesses and being entrepreneurial at that point. Were your parents like that? Did you have any sort of reason, or that just kind of, you were born with that bug?
I think I was born with the bug. Yeah, my father was a college professor. My mother was a drama teacher and a high school drama teacher, and taught television acting classes in San Francisco for many years. So definitely don't come from the entrepreneurial type family background, although my grandfather was, and I was close with him. And, I was going to school at the time as well. And so I kind of did both. But I was wanted a better life. So I think that was just my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a, people sometimes ask me about how I started in real estate. And it's, to me, it was like necessity. I didn't want to live in an apartment. So I bought a really terrible house and fixed it because I had to, it's like, didn't have a choice. So, I mean, that's cool. So you said mostly single family type real estate to begin with until a few years ago when you got into multifamily. What were you doing with the single families? Were you flipping those or rentals, or what, how did you kind of start that journey?
A little bit of both. I mean, I always, I started early in my first condo and then house, and then ended up renting that out and then buying another one. And, so just kind of scaling up that way. And then I was flipping houses as well, too. I've been doing that for years, trying to hold on to as many as I can. In California, as it's, been a crazy ride for, forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
My parents paid $32,000 for the first house. It's worth well over $1 million today.
Yeah. The appreciation in California has been, even especially over the last just couple of years, it's been crazy. But probably not a ride that will last forever, but it's helped a lot of people. So when you transitioned to multifamily, how did you do that? First of all, how did you realize that was a way to go? And then what steps did you do to kind of make that move?
So I immediately saw, I mean, I was talked into getting my first house. I mean, even in high school, I had one of my buddies was his mom was a realtor, and I remember her telling us, "You guys got to buy a house. You should buy a house together, right?" And houses were still fairly inexpensive then, and I was making money, and he was making money, and that was kind of the reason why she said that. Although we didn't, but looking back, obviously we should have. Mm-hmm. And, it just kind of started once you start looking at real estate like that, and then you look at what you missed, and, you look at it, this house was 150,000 and now it's worth 200,000. And you go, man, I could have, made 50,000 on that. And I mean, you look around you, what else, appreciates like that. I mean, there's all this like fast, right, shiny lure kind of stuff, right? Like, Bitcoin and Bitcoin today. But I mean, there were many things in the past over the years that, half of them were probably pyramid schemes of some sort or another, but they were always kind of the fast making money of its time. Right. And a lot of people did make money on them, no question about it. But, as all of those things the bottom falls out, and, then it evaporates and it's gone. With real estate, it's always there. It doesn't evaporate.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess moving into multifamily, maybe tell us about your first deal. How did you find it? What kind of asset was it? That sort of thing.
Actually, so my first, I started going to some of these kind of, taking some of these classes, the courses on them that they sell, and coaching programs and all that. And I got involved kind of that way. And that's really what turned me on to the whole thing. And I had already owned real estate. I already owned some rentals, but all on single family. So the whole concept of buying out of state, because for California, right, that's nobody's investing really in California. Most people are doing it out of state because the returns are better, and you have better, more landlord friendly laws that help investments. And so the whole idea of buying out of state in an area that you didn't know was kind of new to me. It's like that was first thing I had to get over. Is like, okay, you can actually buy an apartment complex out of state and not be there to go, check on it every day. Right? It just seems weird. And so I ended up choosing Las Vegas in my market, and I bought my first building in Las Vegas. And I bought that on my own because I just wanted to kind of see how that process worked as far as operating something out of state. And I had the ability to do it. And so I just kind of jumped in. I wanted to feel the pain immediately, right before I started going out to investors and trying to get other people's money together to do this. And it went very well. I still have the property today and almost doubled in price. And then I started going after more larger properties as under the syndication. I actually got introduced to a couple other operators in Texas that were acquiring a lot of properties, had already been on several of them, but having a little difficult time in the capital raising side. And so I was able to come in and help raise capital for them, and also put some of my own money in. And that kind of brought me in as a general partner on the team. And I was helped, plus with some of my business experience, I was able to kind of help them in scaling their operation and systems. And so they liked that, and they kind of brought me into another property, and I raised capital for that, and then into another. And then I got in contract in my own property, and then I brought them in to help work with that because we already now have established a good working relationship.
Sure.
Then I got invited into another property, 426 unit property out of Kansas City, and came into that as a general partner as well. And mostly on the capital raising side. So, and then it's just excelled for there. Now I'm a general partner on a little over 10 syndications, 12 different properties, mostly in Texas, also in Las Vegas and in Kansas City.
So has your focus mostly been on the capital raising side?
Primarily, that's it. I mean, I do like all the aspects of it. I like the asset management of it. I'm involved in every property that I'm part of. I get on the property management calls every week. I definitely am involved in decision making and how things are going, and then as well as the investor relations side of things. And I always seem to have another deal. I have a lot of deal flow as well too. So we have 2 deals right now that we're in contract with.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about capital raising, because it sounds like you were kind of just doing this on your own. And then it sounds like that first syndication, you were a capital raiser. So had you raised capital for any of your other deals before that on the single family side or anything like that?
No, I think my success really came from, 2 things. One is that I've been a business owner for all of my life. I deal with, in the advertising and marketing people and side of things, I deal with executives and I deal with, decision makers. And so I feel comfortable talking with those kind of people. But I also have been an investor myself and buying into real estate. So I really do come from that side of it. Like, people ask me, what about this deal or what about that deal? And the first thing I ask them is like, well, would you invest in it? Would you have your mom invest in it? Is this something that you like this property so much that you feel like, you would bring your family in, and then what kind of returns would you be giving them? Right. And that's kind of all boils down to, it's kind of a backwards way of talking about the cash on cash and the cap rate and what the actual returns are in the property. But when I talk to others that are trying to get into their first deal, I try to make them look at it in that way, because that's bottom line. That's, if you're going to sell it to investors, it has to be something that you believe in and that you have a good story on why that property is going to make money, and very good underwriting that's going to, show the numbers are going to calculate.
Yeah. And so that's, you kind of just worked from your network. When you started with capital raising, you had enough of a network to just kind of go out to them and say, hey, I'm doing this thing, I've been doing, single family type stuff for a while, but now I'm making this move. I think this is a great opportunity. What did you do? What steps did you take to kind of bring that out to them and make that transition?
Yeah, well, I the people that I know are friends and business associates, so forth. They all have known what I've been, what I've done in real estate all along. And so there's a form of trust there that's kind of built in. And, a lot has to do with the circle of friends and who you really hang out with and who you like to, be around, and what associations or groups you're part of. But even that, evaporates fairly quick, right? And so, you can get in and sure, most people start off raising capital with family and friends, but family and friends can only fund so many deals, right? So, usually after the first deal, you're kind of wiping that out, and maybe even before you're done with the first deal. So you really do have to kind of broaden your, your connections with those type of people. And so you just need to put yourself in a position where you have the ability to introduce yourself and tell what you do to groups and that might be, potential investors. So that might be a local meetup group, could be a real estate group. It could be a non-real estate group. I mean, honestly, it could be the tennis club or a swim club, but those people may or may not have money to invest, and it doesn't really matter. You're not going in like a shark on a hunt. You're really just going in and putting yourself around people and letting them know what you do. And then people that are interested tend to kind of gravitate to you because they say, hey, I like that, Mike. That sounds interesting. I'd like to know more. I might be interested in investing. And and you just kind of keep throwing that out there, and it starts to attract the right group. And then you just go for larger and larger groups and try to get in front of, more and more people.
A couple of things you said there, I think are really good points that I don't know that I haven't heard them much anyway. One of them, okay, everybody talks about going to your local real estate meetup. That's kind of a common theme, but you mentioned going to other types of groups and meetups, things that aren't real estate related, which I think actually makes a ton of sense, because one of the things I think that happens at a lot of the meetups, and these are even the big conferences, there's a lot of people that want to do what you want to do, right? It's a lot of other people that are also trying to raise capital or learn how, essentially, and not so many of them that go to these that are like, I'm the person who wants to invest passively, right? The meetups, the conferences, a lot of them are geared towards teaching people, which is great, like teaching people how to syndicate and all the components of that, or how to be involved in real estate in some way. There aren't really a lot of meetups that are like, hey, let's get a bunch of people that want to invest passively together, and here's a few people that need passive capital. It doesn't work that way. And so the point of getting yourself in these other groups that are just effectively, you're just trying to make friends, increase your network, find other people that you can offer these opportunities to, and they can be, they might be open to receiving them. So I actually think that's a great point that it doesn't get talked about that much, because I think it's true. It's a lot of the meetups are, 90% of the people are like, yeah, I want to be a syndicator, or I want to get into real estate. How do I do that? And a lot less of them, I think, are like, I want to put my money to work, because probably those people don't have to try as hard to find people that want to put their money to work. You said you had a background in marketing, right? That's kind of what so I assume that has been instrumental and helpful in terms of your ability to, sort of increase that network for capital raising.
Yeah, definitely. And it's about, marketing is really about connecting with customers and trying to figure out how to, connect with them. But it's all, my business experience, I'm very professional, very courteous, very, I always follow up. I, immediately, no matter what, the situation is, I try to get back to people whether they're leaving a message or a text or a phone call. And I just relay that on to investors. And I just know that that's what I would want. And that is what I want. And, I've, nothing frustrates me more when you call somebody and you're trying to get something, even if you're trying to sell them on something, but you're calling, you never get any callbacks, right? And it's just frustrating because, I'd rather put one good call in and get a no than I would, 10 phone calls and still get a no, right? It's like, give me a quick no instead of a long drawn out no. But I like to stay professional in that aspect of it. And I treat everybody like that accordingly. That makes me feel good about what I'm doing. And, and I think that resonates with other people. And kind of getting back to your other question about, going outside of that real estate markets. I mean, there are so many different things. Like I would rather be the only real estate guy in the room, right? And stand up and introduce myself instead of being in a group with all a bunch of other syndicators or real estate people. And that room could be anything that you associate with, right? I mean, there's things, just looking at your background, right? I mean, you got a Batman thing,
superhero
there. You got kids, right? You got your kids, handprints stuff, really cool. But, those are groups that, you could get in front of as well too, right? That, obviously dad's groups or, anything like that with kids. I mean, not everybody in there is going to be super rich to be able to, maybe not high net worth individuals, but everybody is looking to make money on their money. I don't care how much money they have. And if any kind of job environment, people do make money. There's always, and you never know who it is, right? I've had, a guy who owns a dry cleaners that, just has a bunch of money sitting in the bank. And he just, he bought those dry cleaners and he's kind of like a mattress money, person, right? He likes to put his money into the mattress. And, doesn't live a very lavish lifestyle. It's not a very lavish dry cleaners. It's kind of a small hole in the wall kind of a business, but, it's a cash cow for him. He makes a lot of money at it and doing it for a long time. And he makes this money, but doesn't necessarily know what to do with the money. Right. And even on the other side of the coin, I'm in close to Silicon Valley. There's a lot of these computer engineers that, got these great high paying jobs. They make, $200K a year going in but they work like dogs. They're behind the computers, all day and sometimes all night. And but they make a lot of money, but they don't necessarily know what to do with their money. It typically sits in their checking account, right? Because they don't have time to really go out and figure out what to do with it. And stocks might scare them or, maybe they're into tech stocks, but here's an opportunity for them to take their money and put it into an investment passively that they don't have to work at. And in real estate, which is, about as solid as it gets in investments, and make money on their money while they continue doing their day job. And that's really the way you build wealth. And over the years, as you accumulate that and you keep turning that money over and making money on that, and certainly with the tax benefits that come with real estate, it can accelerate your retirement easily or quickly.
Yeah. And so many great points there that sort of all point to, if you're raising capital, you need to look at it as providing a service or an opportunity, not, you're not just going out trying to get money, to ask people for money. So when you bring up the points of, here are these people that they don't know how to make their money work for them. They've got it, like you mentioned, it's sitting in a checking account and it's like, what's your interest rate? 0.02%. I mean, it's just, something silly and that isn't doing them any good. They're losing more in that inflation. And so if they can get it into a real estate opportunity and be making, 12, 15, 18% on an annual basis, that's a much bigger improvement to, what they're seeing now. And I don't even want to talk about the stock market right now. The negatives that are happening there are kind of terrible, but
inflation. I mean, that's going up. Like even if you're making 5% on your money, you're losing money. Inflation's going at 10%.
Yeah. it's truly an education thing, right? It's an education. Here are the opportunities we have available. And you have that's why I really love your idea about going to other groups, whether it's dad groups, whatever your circle might be, people you can, kind of have something in common with. Those are the people that need you, right? Like the wealthy people already know how to be wealthy. We don't have to teach them how to be wealthy. It's the other people that are working really hard and not getting any, benefit of, sort of letting their money help them not have to work so hard. So I really love that point. And I really don't feel like anybody talks about that. So I think that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. And that's like, it's going to be a clip that ends up on social media there. That's a really great point. So I know you said you kind of like the other parts of it, but is your main passion in capital raising? And I know, there's acquisitions, there's capital, there's investor relations, there's the asset management side of it. There's kind of all of those components to a syndication deal. Do you try to get yourself involved in all aspects, or do you, really like to stick with it on the capital raising side? What do you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy the capital raising side of it. I do enjoy all of the aspects of it. I just don't, obviously I can't take it all on. I don't want to take it all on. And I think that's kind of one of the beauties about syndications, about these large apartment buildings, is that it attracts, a high caliber of team members, and you're able to work with people that are really good at these different things. And I love learning from them and watching, or just participating in the way the asset is being managed, or the property is being managed by the property manager, or the underwriting that's happening, and to get a deal under contract or negotiations. All of those kinds of things, I think they're important aspects of it. I don't want to lead on any of it, but I like to be part of them.
Yeah. And I think and maybe you found this being from a single family background, but I think for me, I always had that sort of DIY, sense that I can do this, I can figure this out. I don't know. I've never been in a space that is more about like having to have a strong team around you than, especially syndication. Like it truly is. It is not possible to do it on your own. And you kind of wouldn't want to, right? Like it's really cool. I don't consider capital raising. I feel like that's probably my weak point. I love talking to people that are good capital raisers, because I think it's such it's an impressive skill, and it's different to what, I like acquisitions and I like asset management. That's kind of where my focus has been. I enjoy those. I actually enjoy the acquisitions a lot more than I ever thought I would. I've come from construction. I like asset management. I knew I would like asset management, but acquisitions is really cool because you get those interactions with the sellers, the brokers, and then I feel good about them being able to say, "Hey, I found this great deal. Let's here it is to my partners. Let's get it out there to the world." Like, I think that's a cool feeling, and I think it's just. There's all those little, all those positions on the team. So I really am. I'm just always fascinated by what people's passion is, what role they fall into, because I do feel like sometimes you got to just start and figure it out. Like, you might think you're going to be good at capital raising and you're not, or you might think you're going to be good at asset management, but you're like, this is a huge headache. It is a headache, but it's like, some people like that. Some people like problem solving. So I think it's really cool. Well, let's shift gears, Mike, and talk about, or kind of get to the part where I ask you questions that I ask every guest. The first one is based on the name of the show being Know Your Why. And so what is your why? What kind of drives you? What keeps you going and motivated?
Yeah, I've been in business, as I said, for a long time, and, success motivates me. I'm always motivated just to accomplish whatever I, take on. And, I set a goal to accomplish it, and I don't stop until that happens. That's pretty much it. As far as my why goes, I love to travel. My wife and I travel. We've taken, our daughter with us, who's, she's 29 now, and we just have a new granddaughter. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And so, everything is obviously always set up for them. But I enjoy the process. So I enjoy accomplishments. And, that keeps me going, I think.
So important that if you can't find a way to enjoy the process, you're probably not going to like this. It's not going to be it's not going to be for you. And invest passively and make your money grow that way, because it is a process for sure.
Yeah. I've always been that. Just to add that, I mean, I've always been that way. That like some people will find 100 reasons why you can't do it, and what I really enjoy is finding that reason or the reasons why you can, and then following those and getting that accomplishment done. That does make me feel good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think being able to accomplish something that someone said I couldn't, that's like, that's very fulfilling. Second question for you. What is something about yourself that isn't common knowledge? People might not know about you, a special skill, a hobby, anything that you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah. I ride motorcycles. I definitely have rode dirt bikes pretty much all of my life, and street bikes. But I did quite a bit of dirt bike riding, kind of cross country, not all the way across the U.S., but we did and I know with a group of guys, probably about 10 of us, that would kind of get together and do that. And we've ridden down the Baja several times, all the way from San Diego down to Cabo San Lucas, about 1,000 miles. And all on dirt bikes, packing our gear and clothes on the back of a dirt bike, which is pretty challenging.
Yeah,
but that's been a ton of fun. We've gone out and did some 5-day rides out in Colorado, and going up over the mountains of Colorado, from Aspen and Vail and all of that during the summertime. We've done a lot of us have kind of converted more to the street bike rides these days, and we've been doing, we rode out to Sturgis, South Dakota, and did that ride one time, and, out to Las Vegas and some different Bryce and Zion and different things like that. So it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy it. My wife rides; she likes to ride with me as well.
What do you ride for a road bike?
Road bike, I have two. I have a Harley Davidson. I have a Street Glide that I enjoy riding, and then also a BMW GS. 1250, which is kind of more of a crossover kind of a bike. So for more of the twisty roads.
My dad was a Harley guy, and I rode dirt bikes when I was like a young kid at a friend's house. That was it. But then he passed away a few years ago, but he always rode motorcycles. And I was like, when he got sick, he had colon cancer, and I was like, I want to ride with you. So I took the course. I learned how to ride a bike. I didn't get a Harley. I started with a Kawasaki Vulcan, and that was my bike to go ride with my dad, which was kind of an awesome thing to do. We didn't get to do enough of it, but it's kind of awesome thing. I always thought I would get a Harley. So you live in California. This is not one of my normal 4 questions, but the road sharing thing, the lane sharing thing is crazy to me. I'm not from California originally. I fully intended to come here, get a Harley and ride the PCH. And then I saw the lane sharing and I was like, that's maybe not as insane as the fact that helmets aren't required in Texas, but regardless, that's kind of what stopped me. I was like, it seems very convenient if you're in traffic and heading, trying to get to work on time. But I feel like it's a very dangerous thing. Although I guess when I see the people out, on the weekends and they group ride with a bunch of guys on Harleys, they're usually not doing a lot of that. They're all kind of staying together. But what do you think about it? Maybe you're used to it if you're from here.
Yeah, I am used to it because being in California all my life. But I think it's, I do, lane splitting is what it's called. And they, I think once you kind of do that, I don't think it's really as dangerous as it looks. It does from, I think, the outsider, but for a rider that's going through those lanes like that, I mean, they're always looking, 3 or 4 cars ahead.
Yeah.
It's only when in traffic, right? And obviously some people would go a little crazy with that, but most of the time the cars aren't moving very far and it's fast. And it's not like they're shifting lanes quickly or anything, right? Because it's in traffic. So it's usually a pretty clear lane when you're going through it.
Yeah. I'm sure the experienced rider, especially if you're from here, it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, I saw that and thought, yeah, maybe I don't need a Harley here. And my wife was immediately like, I don't know that you need to do that here. But I still do love the idea of like just going on those rides, and there's some such beautiful scenery here. So I'm sure it's amazing.
A lot of fun, and it's a great bonding thing when you go with guys, as you saw with your dad, and that's really a great story to hear from you too. I mean, that's something you remember forever, and I'm sure was very special for him.
Yeah, no, it was great. I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that I got to do that at some point. When people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, so on my, I'm all over. My website, which is growcaptoday.com, and there, is most all of my contact information. You can even schedule an appointment with me from that. But you can also look me up on LinkedIn, Facebook. My email is usually pretty public as well too, mike@growcaptoday.com. And I'm always happy to talk to anybody interested, whether you're interested in investing or just want to talk about real estate. I do some coaching for some, different kind of students that are coming through the system as well. And I'm always happy to get on a call and help support, their growth in this business. And I like it. I enjoy talking with kind of, the people that all kind of are thinking in that same direction and share that same mindset. It's fun. That's why I enjoy coming on podcasts like this. And I always know the host is going to be, I'm going to share a lot of commonality with the host as well as usually with the listeners as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. We'll put that for sure in the show notes too, so people can reach out to you. Final question for you, Mike. What's a piece of advice you would give to someone who's really thinking about getting started in real estate? They're maybe a couple of years behind where you're at, just to help motivate them, push them forward, kind of send them in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the best advice I give is just get started, do it, figure out a way to get into it. You don't always have to make a killing on your first deal. Obviously, don't over leverage yourself and get yourself in any dangerous situation like that, but which I think is the only real failure that can happen in real estate is if you over leverage.
Yeah.
But, get involved in it. And whether that's with a partner or multiple partners or, even volunteering your time, put in a little sweat equity and try to get involved for a small piece. And again, it's not about how much money you're going to make on that first deal. It's about the experience that you're going to get. And it quickly accelerates when you get into your first deal, and your second deal usually comes around fairly quick because now you already have the mindset. Right. And then, all of a sudden a third and a fourth, and it grows dramatically. And you will make money over time, and you just keep at it. And as long as you're interested in it and are willing to learn and partner up with people that, know more than you do, or even just know something different than you, that's a great way to accelerate.
Yeah, absolutely. Someday I'd like to make a compilation of the answer to that question from almost everybody has some component of it that has, you need to get started. You need to do it. You need to take action, that kind of thing. I think because, it's, if you think about it, it's a little bit like there's no other way, right? You're not going to get anywhere if you don't do anything. So you've got to take some action to really get going, and knowing that there are people like yourselves that are, open to coaching and willing to just talk about it and come on the podcast, which I appreciate so much, and share your story. And it should be inspiring. It should let people realize that it's doable. It's doable for everyone. It's in whatever capacity you want that to be. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to do what I do or what you do or what, Grant Cardone comes to mind because he's, out there, but, just whoever it is, you don't have to look at those people and think I have to do exactly what they do, but you can change your life with this. So it's kind of a really good, just get in there and do something.
Absolutely. The best day to buy real estate was yesterday, but the next best day is today.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. Listen, Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate you putting up with my raspy voice and my cough. Thank you for coming on and sharing your time and your story with us. I appreciate it. And, to everyone listening, if you like this episode and you got value, please give us a review and a rating. And again, thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, Jason. My pleasure.
Appreciate it. We will sign off.
I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you.